and use OpenFeint since it's available. And Game Center isn't, and it'll be available sometime soon. I don't remember your name, but he asked, will we continue supporting OpenFeint when Game Center launches? And I said yes, and it's really important that you think about OpenFeint for now as a way to begin experimenting and learning with how to take advantage of Game Center later. And that if you use OpenFeint now as a way of learning this stuff, we're going to make it very easy for you to transition your game and your players over to Game Center when it does launch later this year.
Are you guys going to be like mirroring the calls so that they just kind of naturally go to Game Center as well, and then you can just do a switch?
Well, Game Center is not out yet, so we won't be mirroring the calls now. But what we'll end up doing is, it's a good question. I'm not exactly sure. We do, but it's too early to say anything concrete about what the 4.0 SDK has. But depending the exact implementation detail, I'm not sure about yet. But we may basically build a wrap around Game Center. We may provide 2 paths that you can use. It really depends on how Game Center ends up looking when it goes live, and we'll just do whatever makes the most sense. But that may go all the way to automatically hooking up OpenFeint accounts with the iTunes account that's using Game Center, so players can move across easily and then transition your games over to Game Center. So this all sounds cool. You get to make your games better. People have higher expectations, but that generally will make you guys make better games. But there's a catch. And Game Center, by anointing all this stuff, has effectively made these things table stakes. This is now going to be expected for you to compete in the market. And it's not about money anymore. Or it never was, really. I mean, this stuff, it's about engagement and player expectations of what they want from a game. It's not about you making more money. So you still have to work hard at that. And where we think that online services eventually pivot to making money is with the social gaming services I was talking about with OpenFeint X, where I really believe that the kind of stuff that's happening on Facebook with Zynga and CrowdStar and those kind of games, and that NGMoke was experimenting with on iPhone, and we have with Aurora Feint 3, a free-to-play business model is going to be the kind that you can really leverage in the future. You'll be able to get a large community to market to. Some number of those people will be really passionate about your game and pay for it. I just think it's going to be more sustainable and less risky of a way to build a games business going forward. So social game services, I think, things like viral games like Farmville, this is the kind of stuff that happens on Facebook. The particular design mechanic of this game isn't necessarily the key point I'm making here. It's more about the fact that the game compels you to bring your friends in and share with your friends. Asynchronous multiplayer games like Words with Friends, it's a phenomenal game that people enjoy playing with each other, and it really differentiates. And if you were to take this game and then kind of think about how could I spin this to make it free to play and throw in some virtual goods, I think you have something that might be an order of magnitude more interesting as a business than what New Toy is doing right now. And then a game like Worms, which is synchronous multiplayer. Imagine taking this, making it free to play, and throwing in some virtual good stuff. It just the way that this could go and how rich this could be, it's pretty. Well, I don't really know, but.
So I guess the first question is how do you monetize it? The second question is when everybody's doing this, and we know that in the next couple of years there's going to be a lot more people doing this and making these games, and people can only play so many games and have so many apps on their phone. And how are you going to possibly stand out? And how are you going to? I mean, it's just really challenging. What do you have to say about that side of the equation? It's not just about making a great game, because there's probably going to be literally 1,000 great games next year.
Yeah, I mean that's sort of that question's been repeated over and over again. Ever since anyone started making products in an area where other people make products. I think basically, I'm not going to have a really good answer for you, but at a high level, you have to look at what the more expectations are of your customers today and figure out a way to meet them better than the other people who are delivering products. I think from where we are right now, we're on a transition where we're seeing the purchase once, play forever game, at least on iPhone, is not working. And there's another model that's working really well on Facebook, which will not translate literally to iPhone, but I think will sort of come over and transform slightly.
That model is what?
The free-to-play microtransactions. So virtual goods and microtransactions based games. And when you think about what makes that type of a business successful, it's the fact that the game is free, so anyone can try it, and the people who really like it will get into it and pay you money for it. But your question was then, when everyone's doing that, how do you differentiate? I don't really know. I mean, eventually, what will happen is, in 5 years from now, let's say, 90% of the game will be free to play, and we'll be sitting in this room, and I'll have some crazy idea about the next thing that's happening and where business is going and how you can, reinvent yourself to stay relevant. I think the cycle of innovation and stagnation, and then reinnovation and stagnation just keeps happening, and it's going to keep happening.
But we've never seen a land rush or a gold rush like this.
It's hyper.
History of really of anything. I mean,
I disagree.
It's so big.
I disagree. I think that
What else is like this?
the Facebook ad platform was huge. In many ways, it's bigger than this. I mean, if you think about Zynga, they right now, a few weeks ago, someone wrote an article guessing that Zynga is $5 billion valuation right now as a company. And there are many, many, many companies in that ecosystem with valuations in the hundreds of millions of
No,
dollars.
I'm talking about the number of apps. We've never seen this. We've never seen any platform in history.
It's the internet all over.
Well, I mean, it's like if you look at the World Wide Web, I mean, that's a good point. There's tons and tons and tons of web pages, but CNN and IGN end up
That's
merging.
that's like informational stuff.
But it was paid for content in the beginning. It was paid for content in the beginning,
Yeah,
and everything phased out to free, and you had to figure out how to monetize that. It's just, this is a hyper version of it. Like, it happened overnight.
Yeah, but these are products that individuals are creating little businesses.
So, I mean, websites were too, though, right? I mean,
Well, most websites were informational. They're blogs, and they were, about my business.
I think that there was definitely more. It was definitely more about informational on the web, but when you look at the bubble that happened in 2000, I'm pretty sure that like the billions of VC dollars that went into that were trying to create businesses, and most of them did fail. Right.
There's going to be a lot of failures here, yeah.
Instead of looking specifically just because this is games, it might be more luxurious right now, but in a couple of years, they'll look the same as the internet is looking right now.
Yeah, just to say.
I actually have a question for you.
Yeah, sure.
So, you mentioned sending the game center. How do you know that Apple won't come in and do the same thing they're doing now to whatever you do in a year?
Hey, Josh.
It might.
Yeah. I mean, how do you build a business model around that? Or how do you know that you're going to have stability?
I think that, so my current, the way that I look at this is that I think that Apple is building online game services for iPhone for many, many, many reasons. And I think that one of those reasons is because we demonstrated the value of them with, all of your help on iPhone. But another big reason is that Windows Phone 7 is coming out with Xbox Live, and they want to differentiate from Android. And I think those are probably the three biggest reasons. So when you think about, okay, we're going to build a virtual goods and microtransactions platform that has support for multiplayer games. Why might Apple build that? I could see Apple possibly building a virtual currency that goes across games. But I'm not sure if I would see them building a content delivery system for you to manage a store that populates content in your game.
Well, look at in-app purchases.
Yeah, well, in-app purchases is a client-side feature that interacts with billing.
But that's just the beginning.
Yeah, it might be. I mean, you're right. There's no. I mean, it's who's to say that in many years they won't come out and do it? But I think that the idea that it took them 14 months to figure out that building an online game service is something that's worthwhile doing after two of their large competitors are encroaching on their space.
Right.
I don't see them taking anything less than another 14 to 20 months to figure out this, that they should build this.